So welcome to the regular meeting of the Board of Selectmen for 4 p.m. Wednesday, August 28th, 2024. Let's rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Deputy Chief Wyatt, will you lead us to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it
stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. First order of business to hear from the first selectman updates. I think the first thing I'm going to do is give a couple of brief updates. One is I want to welcome Michelle Gore to Fairfield as our new general manager of the Water Pollution Control Facility, and she'll be reporting to John Marsilio, interim DPW director. John Bodie, the Water Pollution Control Facility superintendent, will report directly to Michelle. Michelle and her husband have recently relocated to Southport from Durham, Connecticut. Work-wise, she comes to us most recently from Fuss and O'Neill, and prior to that, two decades with the Connecticut Department of Energy and Environmental Protection, or DEEP. She's got a Master's of Science in Environmental Engineering and Science from Stanford University, and a Bachelor's in Environmental Engineering from Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute. Michelle will be responsible for the management and operations of Fairfield's wastewater facilities, and she'll be the primary liaison with the Water Pollution Control Authority. She'll work directly with the state and federal officials, as well as with Public Works, Division Management, and we have many, as we've discussed many times, and Christine Vitale is on the Water Pollution Control Authority. It's a crucial time for rebuilding our sewer system. We have got many essential construction projects over the coming decade, and Michelle's going to play a really central role in planning and managing those projects. So we're really excited to have Michelle. Is there anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, just welcome. I'm excited to work with her and learn from her. And as you said, this is there's a lot going on right now with WPCA, and very excited to have her join the team. I think that she'll be instrumental in moving forward.
This is a really big deal. This is a new position. And we'd also like to welcome Joseph Gaudet. He's the new director of the Fairfield County Regional Dispatch Center, or FCRD. He's got over 40 years of experience in law enforcement and telecommunications and technology consulting. Most recently, Joe served as the director of the City of Stamford's Emergency Communications Center, which is one of the busiest public safety answering points, or PSAPs, in Connecticut. There he made significant improvements in call answering standards, the implementation of cutting edge technologies, and enhanced interoperability with regional and state partners. Prior to Stamford, Mr. Gaudet served as the chief of police for the city of Bridgeport. So the FCRD partnership is based in Fairfield on the Sacred Heart University campus. It includes Fairfield, Westport Police and Fire Departments and EMS, and New Canaan's Fire Department. But it was designed to take on additional services for other towns as well over time. And so we're so excited about having someone like Joe Gaudet leading this effort. He's going to be transformative at the FCRD. So welcome Joe, and anyone who sees him, please welcome him. And I'd like to add anything to that as well.
This was a big topic of conversation during our budget, so happy to welcome him and really looking forward to his leadership for the police department's sake, also in terms of some of the staffing changes that will entail, and also just to build up capacity at the center to provide service to our residents as well as those of surrounding towns, and hopefully we'll get more towns to come aboard in the coming years. So just thank you for moving this forward.
And again, Michelle Gore is a very big deal in the wastewater Water Pollution Control Authority. Joe Gaudet this is a really big deal for us, and we're really excited to have Joe. I'm going to read and issue an overdose awareness day proclamation to Fairfield Cares for the Fairfield Cares Community Coalition. And I'll do that right now. So the Town of Fairfield, Connecticut proclamation. Whereas the Town of Fairfield affirms and acknowledges the harm and hardship caused by drug overdose, and whereas we recognize the purpose of International Overdose Awareness Day as remembering loved ones lost to overdose or struggling with substance use disorder and ending the stigma of drug-related deaths. And whereas we resolve to play our part to end the stigma of drug use and drug-related deaths and to reduce the toll of overdose in our community, which claimed the lives of over 1,000 Connecticut residents in 2023, together with countless more affected forever. And whereas we affirm that the people affected by overdose are our sons and daughters, our mothers and fathers, our brothers and sisters, and deserving of our love, compassion, and support. And whereas the town recognizes and appreciates the compassionate and important work of Fairfield Cares, the town's resource for healthy choices, and the Fairfield Health Department. Now, therefore, I, William A. Gerber, first Selectman of the Town of Fairfield, do hereby proclaim Saturday, August 31st, 2024, as Overdose Awareness Day in the Town of Fairfield, and encourage our residents to help spread awareness about ending the stigma around overdose and drug-related deaths. In witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused the great seal of the Town of Fairfield to hereby be affixed this 28th day of August 2024. And I think it would be very appropriate for our co-chair of the Fairfield Cares Coalition, Christine Batali, to say a few words.
Also, Brad is here also. He is a member of the coalition as well, so I would also invite him to say a few words, but I thank you for this. As you shared, International Opioid Awareness Day is on Saturday, August 31st. There is, due to some changes in leadership of Fairfield Cares Coalition, there will not be a townwide vigil this year, but we are planning something for next year. But I did want to let the community know that New Canaan is having a vigil, their 8th annual Community Addiction Vigil, Thursday, tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. 6 South Avenue. They've extended the invitation to our residents to join them there. This work needs to, at our last meeting, you shared the town has received funds to address awareness, prevention. I think just sharing information that it is a problem that is affecting residents across our country, across our state, and sadly here in town. The coalition is a town's prevention council. We engage all sorts of stakeholders to do this work and promote the overall wellness within our community. There's a lot of work to be done, and in the coming year, we're going to be working together to engage parents, first responders, service providers, to come to you with some suggestions on how we can build capacity for prevention and treatment to eradicate this problem, hopefully, in the coming years. Too many people are losing their lives and too many families are negatively affected. So I thank you for this proclamation. I will invite you at a future Fairfield Cares meeting in the coming months so you can share it with the full coalition. We really weren't sure, we were upset that we couldn't really pull something together for this weekend, but appreciate the town's partnership and promotion of just spreading the word. So thank you.
It's well said. I don't.
Deputy Chief, anything you'd like to add?
It's amazing. I've always been a fan of the work that Fairfield Cares does, and they've been a great partner, a great resource and ally for many years. So.
And it truly is a coalition from our law enforcement, our human services, our school district, our parents, other community non-for-profit associations across Lower Fairfield. And we invite everybody to come along and join us. The work, while we hired a new program director this July, the work really should be driven by members of the coalition. Everybody has a voice, everybody can come and participate, and really looking to build our volunteer base to to meet the needs. A lot of the focus is on our youth, really trying to address some of the challenges around this at an earlier age, but very much, as you said, it affects mothers, fathers, brothers, and sisters, and people of all ages. So very thankful for, again, the town's partnership, the support of our police and fire departments, human services department, our library, and really looking forward just to building the coalition the year ahead. Thank you.
Well, thank you. So this is the Deputy Chief of Police to hear, consider, and act on approving an annual software renewal with PowerPhone for total response software and site licensed training for the Fairfield County Regional Dispatch Center. This approval includes the authorization to enter into renewals on similar terms and conditions. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second, Deputy Chief.
So PowerPhone is an IT platform designed to streamline the handling of emergency medical calls. It guides dispatchers through a series of standardized questions to accurately classify the call by type and priority level based on the caller's responses. Structured question and answer approach is endorsed by Bridgeport Hospital Medical Control, ensuring our dispatching of medical services and EMD guidance aligns with current medical standards. Moreover, adherence to an EMD protocol is mandated by state statute, and PowerPhone ensures our compliance with these legal requirements. We respectfully request approval for the annual fee of $15,809.50.
Any questions?
Pretty straightforward. Seems like a service that we need to have.
Yeah, agreed. Any comments from the public? Seeing none, back to the board. All in favor, say aye. Thank you, Deputy Chief. B on this is to hear, consider, and act on approving an agreement between Chorus Intelligence and the town of Fairfield for data capture and analysis services. This approval includes the authorization to enter into renewals on similar terms and conditions. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second, Deputy Chief.
Chorus Intel is a sole source digital investigative platform that gathers, sorts, and parses a variety of data, including cellular records and LPR data. This will be an invaluable tool for our investigative division in completing more timely and thorough investigations amidst the challenges of the digital age. We respectfully request approval for the annual fee of $5,850.
And so this is a new software that you're using. Any comments or questions?
Yeah, it wouldn't seem like with it being a sole source, didn't have too many options in terms of. Yeah, pretty straightforward.
Okay. Any comments from the public? None, back to the board. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. The WPCF superintendent is John Bodie on the line?
Unless he's out of Fairfield. He's not here.
Well, we can just handle this. I mean,
I'm not sure. I'm here if you have any questions on Eastern Klein. I thought John Bodie will be here to present this project.
Oh, is it, am I? Mega, that's you?
Yes.
Oh, right, okay, yeah, no, this is, it's great to have you on the line here. That's fine, if you don't mind, speaking to this, yeah. So, WPCF, to hear, consider, and adopt a bond resolution as recommended by the Water Pollution Control Authority entitled "A Resolution Amending and Restating the East Trunk Wetlands Crossing Project Resolution of the East Trunk Replacement Project Resolution to increase the total appropriation by $13,500,000 to $30,750,000, the bond authorization by $13,500,000 to $27 million, and to amend and restate the project description. May I have a motion? Seconded. David, do you want to speak to it, or I mean, this was really just going out to bid, and we only had 2 bidders, and this was the low bid. So this sorry, I should let you.
No.
This project has to get done. This is the East Trunk line. It's very complicated. Not apparently not something that people were fighting to do, and so only 2 bids. It goes through and around wetlands, and there's a fair amount of dewatering involved in this, and replacing of pilings, and just a complicated job. So ended up being significantly more. It was also different phases were combined into a single phase.
I have almost no one. No, keep on.
With different phases originally were going to be done separately, and the WPCA and the town agreed that it made more sense because the first time they went out for phase 1, they didn't get any qualified bidders back, and so they combined it. They did get qualified bidders by combining it, and so now it's all going to be done as one project. So that's one big reason why the total has gone up from the original years ago, a couple of years ago, attempts, or first time we heard this, I think was 2 years ago. Yeah, I mean, this has to get done in order to meet our commitments for the development of the Metro Center, and for people to be able to flush their toilets. So
yeah, and that spoke to the balance here, where it had originally been approved in multiple phases by WPCA, and it was going to be carried on their side. But now with the overage, it did spark again sort of the discussion that we've had about who's paying for what, and it seemed that this was a good opportunity for the town to say, to step in. And actually the way the numbers lay out with the overage and the contingencies that are built in is it's essentially after the net of the grants, the projected cost will be $27 million, and then half of that would be and half of that through the town. The town will obviously be able to do quite a bit of development and meet other needs, including housing, some other items based on that entire complex and area by doing this. So it's definitely very beneficial for needs of, but also the side. So this actually, in that it was approved in several different forms, including money that actually had even gone out to bond, and our bond counsel John Staffstrom is on, and I thank him and his staff engaging. One of the things that we did was this kind of consolidates all of that prior work and makes it one project, so they'll also be able to operate now out of one project within Munis, which will make things a lot more streamlined. So it's there's a $3 million grant, there's a $750,000 grant. It just codifies the language from that, goes back and codifies that basically memorializes that and the language on what we had already bonded, and brings it to the new top line number of $30,750,000, and that is the low bid plus some contingency. There's certainly, when they get into the ground, there's some unknowns that still exist with this. So we tried to some degree by a little bit more of a margin overshoot that, knowing that it's a couple-year project. There's definitely some unknowns, but the bulk has been identified. And from there, again, it creates $27 million that will be bonded, and it divides it in half. And it says WPCF is 13.5 and the town is 13.5. And actually, if you break all the numbers down, the WPCF was already at 13.5. So last week at their meeting, they approved the new language for the resolution. They did the supplemental, and they did the MOU, basically just cleaning that up into the version of it. So it's passed there. It'll go to this board, where we get these items approved, and we need to to the rest of the boards, and then get into action on what will still be a multi-year project.
All right. Yeah, and then as we're indicating, this is a major, the Metro Center is a major economic driver for the town, including taxes that will be collected on all of the development there, and that it can't really move forward there without this project being completed. Before we go to Mega, was there anything you wanted to add?
The only thing that I want to add is that
No, I mean, you don't have to. If we missed anything, feel free to jump
no,
in.
you did not miss anything. We really worked hard on this project to move it forward, that it is really where it is right now. It's a sheer hard work on engineering part, and I'm glad that this is moving forward, and hopefully we hit the construction soon in December. We need to get the notice to proceed soon. So that's all I want to add for this. And
Yeah, thank you to engineering. I mean, this is a tough project. I keep hearing that over and over again. So we can't wait to get this started and done. But and Christine Vitale's on the WPCA. Do you have anything you'd like to add?
Becker, as he mentioned, this was before us last week. The board unanimously approved moving it forward. Was happy to see the partnership in terms of the funding being split between the WPCA and the town, and that this supports the current users. Also, improvement to this line is overall important to the future development and growth and health of Fairfield. So see this moving forward, and thank you to engineering for all your work, and look forward to getting updates and providing updates as it moves forward.
Yes, thank you. Thanks.
Okay, any comments from the public?
Mark Barnhart, Director of Community Economic Development. I'll just add that this line services 60% of the eastern half of town. So it's very important, as you mentioned. Also, it's a major source, this line, section of line, is a major source of infiltration, which contributes a significant amount of water, but it wouldn't have to be treated ordinarily. It goes to the plant, addressing the I&I issue, capacity at the plant, which is a far more expensive proposition. So very sorely needed. We did secure $3.75 million in grant funds for the project. We're certainly looking for other sources to help offset the town's cost. Appreciate your support for the project. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Barnhart. Any other comments from the public? Seeing none, back to the board. Now this is the bond resolution. Back to the board, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so we just approved the bond resolution, item number 6, again, WPCF Superintendent. To hear, consider, and adopt a supplemental resolution concerning a resolution amending and restating the East Trunk Wetlands Crossing Project Resolution and the East Trunk Replacement Project Resolution to increase the total appropriation by $13,500,000 to $30,750,000, the bond authorization by $13,500,000 to $27 million, and to amend and restate the project description. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Seconded. I have nothing to add to what we just said. I think that was pretty complete, but is there any, would you like to add anything?
Nope.
Anyone from the public want to add anything? It's really the same topic as the prior motion. Seeing none, back to the board. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Thanks, Mega. Thanks, Bill Hurley. Item number 7, Conservation Director. To hear, consider, and adopt a bond resolution referred to as a resolution amending and restating a resolution entitled a resolution appropriating $2,250,000 for the Tide Gate project and authorizing the issuance of bonds to finance such appropriation, to increase the appropriation and bond authorization by $2 million to $4,250,000. May I have a motion? Seconded. Would this be Bill Hurley or Mega?
This is actually Tim Bishop will be presenting, and I can answer any questions that they may have. I think.
Okay, fantastic. Tim?
Where is Tim?
You're on mute, Tim.
It's just in the hallway.
Oh, good. Good. Everyone, hold on one second.
Locked out.
You're locked out?
Yeah, it wouldn't let me in.
Oh, that's
I'm
strange.
here.
Sorry about that. Not intentional.
Thank you. Yes, so item number 7, the South Pine Creek Side Gate Replacement Project. I originally presented this several years ago and secured the funds in the amount of $2.25 million for this project shortly after I arrived here in 2021. This project had been in motion, I think, as far back as 2018 or 2019 with my predecessor. I'm going to just start off with the reasons for the increase, mostly related to the time that's gone by. As we've seen in the past with some of these large capital projects that start at one price, several years go by, and all of a sudden, inflation and other factors have doubled or tripled the cost of the project. That's the case here. Recently with the purchasing department, the bid was awarded to Terry Construction at $3.188 million, which is significantly higher than the $2.25 from several years ago in FY23. Capital waterfall. Some of the additional costs that came out of that were related to contingency, construction administration services, and the wildlife biologist at a smaller price. But with those additional factors, we thought it was appropriate to request another $2 million to execute this project. Just to circle back with some of the delays, for example, the Army Corps of Engineers permit took over 15 months to get a response. On the federal level, my first permit that I acquired when I took over this project from where it was stagnant when I got here was with the State Historic Preservation Office. If you're familiar with the project from the past or just walking in our open space, this sometimes is referred to as the railroad bridge tide gates. There's a historic railroad bridge. There's only a couple left on the planet, and this one happens to be in the way of this tide gate replacement project. So the state SHPO, as it's referred to, is involved. This rare bridge is from was constructed in just after the Civil War. It's currently sitting on basically on Earth, sitting in the way. So we have to move that, restore it, and it's going to be mocked up as a railroad bridge on site. Which also added some costs. So I think everyone in engineering and purchasing is comfortable with the bid and this request to get it done and not have to be back before any of the boards again. There are some strict timelines for this project as far as work, completion of work, and seasonal timelines related to wildlife. And those restrictions were established by the Corps, and the State Department of Energy and Environmental Protection. So, we're gearing up in anticipation that these funds will be approved for funding, and that we can proceed and execute this timely. So take any questions.
What is the typical lifespan of these tide gates? I know this is past the lifespan, but
Yeah, I think it depends on a lot of factors, but we're usually seeing about 20 to 30 years. This location specifically was the new design is anticipating sea level rise and climate change. So in addition to the 3 existing tubes that will be abandoned as part of this project, the 3 new tubes will now have 2 additional control measures with gates next to the self-regulating tie gates. We'll technically have 5, and this will give us the capacity to drain the marshes in anticipation of a big storm event or a hurricane, and vice versa if we did get a lot of rain to drain it post event. So there are some design measures for the future, but typical corrosion and just constant saturation in weather is 20 to 30 year time frame.
And for timing in terms of assuming all the funding is approved, can you just give a little more detail on start date and when you?
I believe in the RFP,
October.
Megan's still on. Can you speak to that, Megan?
Yeah, so technically what we're anticipating, the RTM, I think the last meeting is around September 23rd. Our notice to proceed should go by October. So we are hoping to start in middle of October, this construction project. And as Tim said, that there is a timeline restriction. It's very, very important for us to start this construction in October. So because there is some kind of wildlife species of turtles and owls that has to be protected past November deadline. So we should be starting in October so we can extend it beyond November, and then we have a protection plan. So this is what the timeline is, to start in October, and then it should go, we have predicting 12-month time period for the construction, considering the winter season and maybe some winter restrictions will go into place. So October start date, taking almost 12 months, considering the winter season restriction.
Like Megan said, the owl roosting and turtle nesting are the 2.
Okay.
So you start in October and then you cut off work when?
No, we don't cut off the work, Bill, because we will be having a protection plan. This is why we are hiring a wildlife biologist. According to NDDB permit requirement, we shouldn't be working after November. We should have December, I think March restriction around that time period, because there are turtles and owls around that area which hibernate. But NDDB will allow, and DEEP will allow us to work if we provide them with a protected species plan.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is why we can continue working even beyond the restrictive period.
All right, thanks.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Any comments from the public? Seeing none, back to the board. All in favor, say aye. And this is another one. I can't wait for this to be done. It's going to have a big impact on the other side of the. Yeah. Thank you. Fire Chief, to hear, consider an act on approving an EMT training contractor agreement between the town of Fairfield and Echo Ambulance Service, Inc. for EMT training courses. May I have a motion? Seconded. Chief McCarthy.
Yeah, good afternoon. This is an agreement between us and Echo Hose out of Derby. It replaces a standing agreement that we previously had with AMR to provide EMT classes for the general public and contracted classes for specific agencies. The benefit to the department is we're able to host classes at the fire school, and they are run by a third party, in this case Echo Hose. As you will see in the document, they charge $1,300 per student for the class. The revenue to the town of Fairfield will be $300 per student. That covers the cost of our administration of registration and providing the facility. So the revenues from each class will range between a low of $3,000 to a high of $7,500 that offsets the cost of running the facility.
Thanks, Chief. And prior with the AMR, those were not held on site; they were held off-site, or
no? They were. We provide the space at the fire school. They provide the instructors. Essentially, is the breakdown of the responsibilities.
The same with AMR.
Correct.
Right. Okay.
How many registrants do you foresee having? Like historically, how many people register for this?
So there is the agreement calls for a minimum of 10, a maximum of 25. Usually it's somewhere in that range, depending on the time of year, demand. AMR now is running a earn while you learn program internally, so they are capturing some of the potential students that would come to this class. So it evolves. There are years that they're very popular, some that are less so. But I think that we will have several active classes in each fiscal year.
I see that you have to be minimum of 16 years of age. Do you get teenagers? I mean, a lot of teenagers taking this class?
Yeah, so there is more and more marketing towards older teens, 16 and older. They have the opportunity to get jobs as lifeguards and others where the EMT certification would be an important prerequisite.
Yeah, it's there's some Boy Scouts who have taken it, and it's pretty popular. Yeah. Anything else? Any comments from the public? None. Back to the board. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Item number 9, purchasing authority to hear, consider, and act on authorizing the purchasing authority to enter into the proposed agreement with Skelly Preservation Services of Shelburne Falls, Mass. To perform professional services related to the Fairfield Historic Districts and Properties Handbook for the Fairfield Historic District Commission. For Skelly proposal dated April 26, 2024 for a total proposed contract value of $9,500. May I have a motion? Seconded. Adam, would this be you?
Adam Tulin, Purchasing Director. I submitted this on behalf of the Historic District or the Historic Commission. I believe Adam Cliver should be here for that, but I would just say to kick things off that at $9,500 professional service, we're well within the purchasing policy. So just looking to get the approval to have the contract executed.
I don't see Adam, but I've been reading about this for some time, so I feel perfectly comfortable with this. Yeah.
I do.
Yeah. So I know this has been on the docket for a while. Any comments from the public? Seeing none, back to the board. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Thank you, Adam. Okay. This next item is very exciting. Okay. So I will read. I will read the resolution. Fairfield Arts Commission to hear, consider, and act on approving and recommending that the representative town meeting adopt the following resolution to establish an arts and cultural district in the town of Fairfield and designate Fairfield Arts Commission as the town's cultural district commission, as recommended by the Fairfield Arts Commission. Whereas Connecticut Public Act 19-143 enables municipalities to establish a cultural district to promote the educational, cultural, economic, and general welfare of the public through the marketing of arts and culture attractions, the encouragement of artists and artistic and cultural enterprises, and the promotion of tourism. And whereas cultural districts are walkable, compact areas that are easy for visitors to recognize, serve as centers for artistic and cultural expression, and represent places where community members congregate. And whereas the town of Fairfield is fortunate to have many arts and cultural venues, creative businesses, historic sites, and cultural assets within its limits, and further holds many arts and cultural events and activities each year which draw many visitors. And whereas a significant number of these arts and cultural venues, creative businesses, historic sites, and cultural assets and activities are located or held within Fairfield's downtown, which represents a compact and walkable area that is easy for visitors to recognize and is a place where community members congregate. And whereas the town of Fairfield established a Fairfield Arts Commission to stimulate, foster, and encourage development and appreciation of artistic and cultural activities within the town of Fairfield, and tasked this commission with exploring the possibility of creating a cultural district within its borders. And whereas the town of Fairfield and the Fairfield Arts Commission are desirous of establishing a arts and cultural district to promote and encourage artists, entrepreneurs, and creative businesses to market and support arts and cultural attractions and enhance the quality of life. Now therefore be it resolved that the town of Fairfield Representative Town Meeting hereby establishes a Fairfield Arts and Cultural District, which shall have the following boundaries as depicted on the attached map, and be it further resolved that the Fairfield Arts Commission is hereby designated as the Cultural District Commission for the town of Fairfield, and the Fairfield Arts Commission is hereby authorized to exercise any power and perform any duty necessary or desirable for the purpose of carrying out the provisions of Public Act 19-143, including but not limited to 1, consulting and collaborating with the State of Connecticut Commissioner of Economic and Community Development and regional service organizations for assistance with marketing, advocacy, and other efforts, and 2, applying for and soliciting and accepting any grant, contribution, gift, bequest, and other donation from any source. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Seconded. Charlie, are you going to be presenting? Okay. Thank you. Mark Barnhart,
Director of Community Economic Development. I'm joined by Charlie McDonald, Chairman of the Fairfield Arts Commission. I don't know there's too much more to be said at this point, other than we are seeking support for that resolution that would establish and seek state recognition for a cultural district in downtown Fairfield, as well as designate the Fairfield Arts Commission as a cultural district commission for the town, and empower as set forth in the resolution. I think the only question I gather that we didn't answer as part of that resolution is why we're proposing to do this. And we believe firmly that this recognition will help us market the town as an arts and supportive community, able to promote all of its arts and cultural attractions, as well as support its artists and creative businesses, regardless of whether they're located actually within the physical boundaries of the district, as well as build greater awareness for the arts, to seek additional investment funds. So that is the why. I think you've answered all the other questions as part of the resolution. It does need to go before the RTM. This is a process, and assuming the RTM agrees and acts favorably upon this resolution after action, we would then need to submit an application itself to our designated regional service organization, the Cultural Alliance of Fairfield County. We've already consulted and provided notice of our intent. There will be an actual visitation at some point, walking tour on site with the Arts Commission state. So it's a process. There are 7 communities that have been submitted thus far. We'd like to be among that small group. We appreciate your support. I did want to mention we've we've gotten an outpouring of support both in the form of letters and emails, various organizations, individuals. I won't read them all, but I would like to add them into the record, and I will make sure that they are incorporated into the documentation provided to them.
Yeah, I've received some of those as well.
I'm just amazed by how well the first selectman read off the resolution. Really well done. And, I always tell you, Bill, when we come back next time, we'll be asking for funding.
I knew you would.
I can't miss an opportunity. You know, I just watch Fairfield Cares, and every time you go to a page, it says donate now, donate now. So I'm driven now to do the same thing for the Arts Commission.
You're an awesome advocate, Charlie. Yeah, thanks for all your work. And Mark, you've been amazing for driving this.
I've answered the questions.
Yeah, I was just gonna just reiterate that this was when we set up the commission, there was an expectation, sort of a requirement that ultimately, right, in order to get funding.
Tasked with looking at whether or not to establish a cultural district.
So it's important for me to note that we fully understand that Sacred Heart University has not just activities in downtown, but also on a main campus, but that it would not be feasible to have them sort of looped up around. It would be the whole town, and so
we were cognizant of the requirement to be a compact wall.
Yeah.
Stretch that definition about as far as we reached.
The theater itself is recognition. I mean, that's clearly a big part of it, and many other people that I've met, with studios all over town, and it's going to benefit everybody who's involved in the arts. Any questions or comments?
No, it is so exciting this is happening, and excited to see it move forward. Wish that Sacred Heart was closer, and the Black Box Theater on Black Rock Turnpike, that there are other businesses and artists across town that are not in the district, but I do think that by the town receiving this designation, it would also promote the arts across town, so they would benefit as well.
Thanks for mentioning Black Rock Theater. Definitely.
The two high schools, well, not in the district, also the home of budding artists, and also add in terms of school performances and theater throughout the year.
Okay, any comments? Oh, Scott. Thanks, Mark.
Scott Simic, Town Librarian. Just want to say that we fully support the idea of this district. We are within the boundaries, listed as one of the institutions, and we think will have a significant impact on both usage of the library and also visits to the Kirshner Gallery.
Good time to say, if you haven't visited the art gallery at the library, you are missing something. It's tremendous.
And we did receive a letter from Fairfield University that's in our backup. That was just one of the many letters that we received in support of the district, as well as there's also the work for the future Irish Museum, which is also within the district. So thank everybody for reaching out and showing their support. Nice to see community excitement around this project.
Imagine what we can do if we have some funding.
Okay. I'm gonna be hearing this in my brain all when I'm sleeping, but yes, funding.
Forward, something.
Yes. Any other comments from the public? Besides Charlie asking for money. Seeing none, back to the board. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Resounding aye. Yes, this is great. Thank you.
I don't know if we can just have the map. I don't think it's posted with the backup. Maybe.
Yeah, we put this in.
But I think unless you.
Yeah.
Okay, well, maybe in the next newsletter,
Yeah.
just include the map,
Okay. Item 11. Megan, how are you?
How are you doing?
Good. Megan Sloan from MetroCog is here. And to hear, consider, and adopt the following resolution is recommended by the Town Plan and Zoning Director and MetroCog. Whereas the town of Fairfield has experienced severe damage from natural hazards, and it continues to be vulnerable to the effects of those natural hazards profiled in the plan. Example, floods, winter storms, tornadoes, hurricanes, and tropical storms, sea level rise, earthquakes, dam failure, wildfires, extreme temperatures, and drought, resulting in loss of property and life, economic hardship, and threats to public health and safety. And whereas the Fairfield Board of Selectmen approved the previous version of the plan in 2019, and whereas the town of Fairfield and Connecticut Metropolitan Council of Governments developed and received conditional approval from the Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA, for the Natural Hazard Mitigation Plan Update 2024 under the requirements of 44 CFR 201.6. And whereas public and committee meetings were held and public input was sought in 2023 and 2024 regarding the development and review of the Natural Hazard Mitigation Plan Update 2024. And whereas the plan specifically addresses hazard mitigation strategies and plan maintenance procedure for the town of Fairfield, and whereas the plan recommends several hazard mitigation activities / projects that will provide mitigation for specific natural hazards that impact the town of Fairfield, with the effect of protecting people and property from loss associated with those hazards, and whereas adoption of this plan will make the town of Fairfield eligible for funding to alleviate the impacts of future hazards, and now therefore be it resolved that the plan is hereby adopted as an official plan of the town of Fairfield. The respective officials identified in the mitigation strategy of the plan are hereby directed to pursue implementation of the recommended actions assigned to them. 3, future revisions and plan maintenance required by 44 CFR 201.6 and FEMA are hereby adopted as a part of this resolution for a period of 5 years from the date of this resolution. 4, the annual report on the progress of the implementation elements of the plan shall be presented to the Board of Selectmen as part of the Community Rating System Review. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Seconded. Megan?
So I think first, I really want to thank all of the cooperation from the town of Fairfield in developing the plan. This is a regional, multi-jurisdictional plan. It really rests on, the town residents, and working with Fairfield was great on this. The resolution pretty much explains the need for the plan, but I think so there's a few definite benefits of adopting the plan. First, it's continued eligibility for certain types of mitigation project grants, some of which the town's working on right now. And it continues Fairfield's participation in the Community Rating System program, which currently provides a 10% discount to certain types of flood insurance policyholders. Just a quick overview of outreach. We had public meetings in Fairfield on September 6th of last year and June 26th of this year. We had a survey, and we had a open public comment period as well. I can answer any questions.
I know it's just anecdotal, but just feedback from the public, whether varied or
About
just in terms of their concerns. Flooding.
Flooding was a big concern, and it's inland and coastal flooding. So, one of the appendices in the plan has a summary of the survey findings. There's only the plan in the summary document.
Okay.
So, the appendices there. We're required to include all the hazards that could potentially impact the area. So there's earthquakes too, but extreme heat has been having more attention.
Talk for a minute about how this rolls up into the MetroCog, or
so this is a regional plan, so
Right.
it includes all municipalities in the region: Bridgeport, Easton, Fairfield, Monroe, Stratford, and Trumbull. But the strength of the plan is really the local participation. And we worked with each town extensively, development of the plan, making sure we met FEMA requirements, but also making sure that it reflected the concerns and the priorities of the town. So I think attached to your packet are all the actions identified for Fairfield.
Yeah.
And we work with MLI, and a few other departments. First of all, the update of those actions from 2018. I've advised all our towns, the more actions you have this period, you have to update all of them in 5 years from now. So just beware. But we worked on updating all of those existing actions, adding new ones, removing ones, to minimize progress in.
And because I was on the RTM for the last one, and I think that a lot has been updated in this plan, so a lot of work's been done. Is there anything you would want to add, Bill or Meg, or?
The only. Hi, Emmeline here again. I'm the Assistant Planning Director as well as the Floodplain Administrator for the town of Fairfield. And I just wanted to also indicate that we worked pretty rigorously with the Flood Erosion Control Board members as well. They participated in both of the public meetings that we've held, as well as other Zoom calls that we did with them. As Megan mentioned, this isn't a plan that gets written and sits on a shelf. Every year we come back to you right around February when we're required to do our CRS recertification. And so those action items will come back to you. Usually it's in the format of having red line areas, and we send that out for multi-department as well as Flood Erosion Control Board review, just to indicate what our progress is, whether we know that, for example, we have a more accurate price for a project because we've done more specific planning and Bill's been able to kind of, look at what the pricing is for a particular project. So we feel like the action table kind of keeps us on point with moving forward with mitigation strategies, with educating the general public. Some of the search stuff, for example, is in there as emergency management best practice within our action plan. So it really is multifaceted, and we feel like it really helps us with kind of a game plan for mitigation strategies moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, it's comforting that everything here is familiar, to me.
That's good.
You didn't throw anything in that we have, yeah.
Bill Hurley, Engineering Manager, just wanna let everybody know that engineering supports this National Hazard Mitigation Plan update. This enables, I think it's important to know that it enables the town to possibly apply for grants, because of many grants, especially the FEMA ones, if it's not listed on the plan, it's not grant eligible. So by having our action items listed, our projects listed, that gives us a better chance of applying and making our projects eligible for grants. Obviously, as Emily mentioned before, TPZ, Flood and Erosion Control, Resiliency Board, Engineering, Housing and Economic Development, and obviously MetroCog, thank you very much. I think it's a great plan, and it was a lot of involvement. It was about a dozen meetings and a couple of public informational meetings where we could have, maybe half dozen to maybe a dozen attend the meeting.
Flood and Erosion Control Board members were really helpful during those meetings.
Yeah, my question was really just for, between the Rooster River, we have river and then there's the beach, so there's different pockets of people, what their concerns are, and was just wondering if you heard from one group more than the other, or other just smaller streams around town that you may not necessarily be on our radar, but might show up to something like that.
It was, as Megan had mentioned before, we heard from Rooster River people, we've heard from the beach, people, coastal people, and we also heard about the underpasses, the downtown underpasses as well. We've been working with Circa and MetroCog, and again, if there's any grants possible to help solve those problems, we're always looking for them. And then the other thing, which Emily I think alluded to, but maybe people don't know, is the development of this plan is part of a requirement of that CRS, and that enables many people to have their flood insurance reduced by 10%, just in case people didn't know. So, thank you.
Any questions?
So will you be going to the RTM committee
Yes.
meetings or to the main meeting?
The subcommittee, but
Subcommittee,
I
okay.
wanted to talk about which one, so I'm planning on a subcommittee. right
That's
now.
great, thank you so much, mate. That's it. Any comments from the public? Seeing none, back to the board, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item number 12, Parks and Recreation Director, is Anthony's there, yeah. Whereas the town of Fairfield has been awarded its fiscal year 2025 American Rescue Plan Act or ARPA grant in the total amount of $75,000 from the state of Connecticut as part of the Coronavirus State Fiscal Recovery Fund to support their response to and recovery from the COVID-19 public health emergency, where Connecticut received $2.8 billion. And whereas the grant requires matching funds from the town in the amount of $75,000 for the purchase and installation of playground equipment. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the first selectman be and hereby is authorized to accept said grant and execute any and all documents to effectuate said grant. May I have a motion? Seconded. Anthony.
All right, Anthony Calabrese, Director of Parks and Recreation. Good afternoon. You guys have heard this project before. The state announced that State Representative Sarah Keat announced that Fairfield would receive $75,000 towards our Lake Mohegan playground, as long as we match the other $75,000, which we got approved through all three funding bodies back in June to use ARPA funds. So yeah, we're here just as did the final dot the final I, cross the final T, and get the other 75,000, and then we'll be able to put a purchase order in and get this project started this fall.
Fantastic, very exciting. Any
Yeah.
questions?
Thank Representative Kitt for her work on this and Mr. Calabrese for moving this forward. I think exciting, always nice to have a new playground in different parts of town, so.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah, Kit, and thank you, Anthony, for always being creative and.
And Lake Mohegan is used by so many people year round that I think the playground will be a great addition and happy for our kids.
All right, any comments from the public? Seeing none, back to the board. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you so much, Anthony.
Thank you, guys. Have a good evening.
You too. Item number 13, Phil Pierce is on, okay. Town attorney to hear, consider, and act on approving an amendment to the lease agreement between the town of Fairfield and the Pilot House Foundation for an extension term of September 1st, 2024 through March 31st, 2025. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Seconded. Phil, would you like to start off?
Sure. Phil Pierce, town attorney. So this is an extension of the existing lease that takes it through March 31, 2025. It's prepared as a final lease extension. The town will have access to the space upon 24 hours notice during the term of the extension in case the town wants to, investigate the future town use of the property. And the town, as I think the board is aware, worked with the tenant to accommodate a request for additional time, and that resulted in the 7-month extension that you see here.
Thank you. Yeah, any?
I'm just looking at the lease. Was there documentation of what this space looked like when she first took ownership, but control?
I'm not aware of it. I'm not sure.
I don't know how, just curious how we measure that, if there's been any renovations or what the expectation is.
You're talking for how she turns over the space?
Yes.
I mean, I think it was basically, I think from the town's perspective, unless somebody has better information, I think we're kind of relying on what the tenant said for what she did to the space. I mean, there's been a number of temporary walls and other things that were put up in there that the tenant said that she would remove, so.
I mean, I think, we're pretty well aware of what it looks like now. So anything, I was happy to make this accommodation. The lessor of the space clear that in order to do fundraising offsite, that she needed this space and would not be able to effectively clear it out by the end of this lease period. And so we worked with her to come up with an accommodation, and thank you for working on that, Phil.
And I want to thank you for, I know that, this space, there are other town needs for this space, and I do appreciate providing Pilot House with the extension so they can get through their fundraising efforts this fall, and I guess maybe even in early winter, to keep their organization moving forward in their new location at the farm. Not new, but new post Colony Street.
Any comments from the public? Seeing none, back to the board. All in favor say aye. Aye. Thank you, Phil. Motion is approved. We have one more for you, Phil, that's why. Okay. Item number 14, purchasing authority to hear, consider, and act on an agreement between the town of Fairfield and Synagro Northeast LLC to provide sludge disposal services on an as-needed basis at the Water Pollution Control Facility for the period July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2025, per Synagro Contract Amendment Number 2, dated August 2024. This approval includes the authorization to enter into renewals on similar terms and conditions. May I have a motion? Seconded. And Adam, will you take this one?
Yeah, sure. Adam Tulin, purchasing director again. Not a whole lot to say about this one. This is sort of an emergency backstop for the WPCF and John Bodie when they basically have excess sludge. This is a low dollar contract. I believe even in a worst case scenario year, we wouldn't expect to see this go over about $15,000 or $20,000. But we wanted to get this contract before the board for approval because this is an amendment to an existing agreement that includes some new pricing, new terms. But after vetting it, everything seems acceptable. So just looking for your approval to enter into the amendment.
Yeah, so thank you, Adam. So sludge, as we all can imagine, at WPC at the wastewater pollution control facility is the end, almost the end product of the sewage that is received at the plant. That sludge is processed, as everyone probably knows at this point, that it's used and used for weak air Denali product and things like that. But if something were to go wrong at the plant and we were not able to sort of finish the processing of that in a way that it could be used by weak air Denali, or if something happened with weak air Denali, we would need to be able to get rid of it. So there's no real anticipation that we would ever really have to use it, but maybe once or twice a year we'll need to, from time to time, if there's an issue, we would have to dispose of the sludge, and then we would use Synagro. Is that right, Adam? Well,
yes, that's exactly right.
So that's just for the public's knowledge. Any comments?
Supporting this, because I want to have the opportunity and capacity to get rid of excess sludge.
There really isn't. There's really only one place that it takes the sludge. So it's not like we have a lot of choices. Any comments from the public? Seeing none. Back to the board. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
So this item passes. Thank you for that, Adam, but you're still on. Purchasing Authority and Engineering Manager. To hear, consider, and act on authorizing the Purchasing Authority to enter into the proposed agreement with AKRF Inc. of Stamford, Connecticut to provide an.
You skipped one.
Oh, sorry. Item number 15. Sorry, Purchasing Authority and Engineering Manager to hear, consider, and act on authorizing the Purchasing Authority to enter into the proposed agreement with G. Pick and Sons Construction of Bridgeport, Connecticut to provide all labor, material, equipment, and all else necessary for the neighborhood sidewalk improvements at Reef and Round Hill Roads per Town of Fairfield bid number 2024-83 and the GPIC proposal dated July 23rd, 2024 for a total contract amount of $445,450 with additional authority to enter into necessary change orders in the amount not to exceed 10% of the original contract value. Funding for this project is available in account 228-09010-5700-024T4. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Seconded. Bill, sorry.
Bill Gurley, Engineering Manager. Usually I would let Adam speak on behalf of the purchasing, and then if you have questions.
Oh, okay.
But there is something I'm a little bit concerned of this resolution or whatever. I'm just a little bit concerned with the contract amount of $445,450 because that was the low bid. But why not to exceed 10%? Because although that's a usual contingency, there is a town share associated with this grant. And the way that the base bid was, we had some flexibility where we would do Round Hill Road and one section, say Nichols to Oldfield for Reef Road. But it's structured that we would could if there was no significant change orders, that we could add scope because we have the project designs all the way through for Reef Road all the way southbound or
Right.
south direction.
Right.
So I'm just a little bit concerned of where that 10% came from, and if it's possible, we can maybe change it to 20%. Because if I recall, and I'm going by memory, there's a number that we have for the grant that was already approved. This was really just approving the contract with GPIC. So I didn't know if anybody had any with the 10%.
If I could just interject quickly,
Sure, of
the
course,
10%, the 10%, that's just honestly a copy and paste job. That's what we do for most of these contracts. But I mean, I think you're making a valid point, and I don't know if we could ask the board to make an amendment to the resolution wording.
Is that Adam? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but the total amount, if you do the other section, what would that be capped at?
You and maybe you could say in the amount not to exceed the grant agreement.
Right, and the grant was.
I don't reveal,
The grant was
for the steep grant, 2022 steep grant.
Yeah, how much was that again? Or no?
I could say it.
No, never mind.
I could tell you off.
Not to exceed the grant amount.
Yeah, and that's already been approved.
Okay, so we would keep in necessary change orders in amount not to exceed the grant.
Yeah, right, that would be great.
Are you okay with that?
And Adam, you're okay with that as well?
Yes.
Thank you for that, Bill, the grant. Okay, motion to amend item number 15 to make the last sentence, let's see, where's it's all one sentence. But the GPIC proposal dated July 23rd, 2024 for a total contract amount of $445,450 with additional authority to enter into necessary change orders in an amount not to exceed the grant amount.
Or you could say steep grant amount, I mean, that's how you work it.
The steep grant amount.
That way, if we happen to go 50,000,
Yeah.
$100 over, you don't have to go back.
Bill, thank you. That was a good catch, yeah.
I'll make that motion, I'll make that amendment.
So seconded, all in favor, say aye. Aye. I'm going to make, can we waive the reading? Waive the reading, and I'd like to make a motion to adopt this motion as amended.
Can I ask a question first?
Yeah, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I mean, just some of the differentials and the pricing between the different bidders. I'm looking at the general earth excavation. Star Construction, total 5,000. The consensus 40,000, 75,000, 10,000. It's just it just seems odd that there could be such a range of prices for this, and I was wondering if you had any insights of why that might be.
Some contractors like to put more money up front. Other contractors like to incorporate the money with their concrete work. The key thing is that the bids, especially for the base bids, were very, very close at the end. There's not much difference. It's just the way they had done it. The good news is, I mean, we've worked with GPIC before. We worked with the number 2 and I think even the number 3 bidder. So these were the usual contenders, and they all vary because the last grant that we had, it was Star Construction, and then one before it was a different company. And so it really just comes down to them either fine tuning or making some of the numbers lower so that they can have a competitive chance of winning. And then other times, as I said, they may just pick up or round up a number and do it that way. The bids that we've gone through, and as I said, we've worked with GPIC before, and we don't find it to be any issue.
Happy to see this moving forward. During the campaign, we knocked on a lot of doors on Round Hill Road, and people were wondering where the sidewalk was, and
2 phone calls and a couple of emails for this week alone, even wondering. So I can now hopefully say that the project can start. We'll have a kickoff meeting with the contractor, and we'll at the pre-construction meeting, maybe after we meet with the contractor, we'll have a couple of minutes where we can maybe invite a couple of neighborhood people so they can get up to date information with the project.
This is going to be completing this is going to be very obvious to anyone who walks on Round Hill Road, including myself. So yeah, it's
you mentioned connectivity.
A big missing gap for
Yes, exactly.
Big missing gap.
well, just for safety with the amount of just college students and high schoolers and middle schoolers that are walking on that road. Rest assured that it's just a safer access point to downtown.
Thanks, Bill. Any comments from the public? Back to the board. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Bill. So now we will go to 16. To hear, consider, and act on authorizing the purchasing authority to enter into the proposed agreement with AKRF Inc. of Stamford, Connecticut to provide an annual subscription for cloud-based hosting services to enable the remote management of the town's traffic signal controllers for a 12-month term commencing on September 1st, 2024 for a total subscription fee of $26,290. This approval includes the authorization to enter into renewals on similar terms and conditions. May I have a motion? Seconded. Bill, this one you definitely have to take.
Well, basically this whole project, and again, you're just really voting for the contract between AKRF and the town. So Adam's certainly here to answer any specifics, and I'll fill it online or not. But basically, this is part of that 3 to 5 year capital signal improvement, program that we have. And this cloud-based hosting service enables the remote management of some of the new traffic signal controllers that the town will be installing to communicate with the engineering department. This is the same software that the city of Norwalk, Stamford, DOT are using, so it's, you know, we'll be able to get supply and equipment. There was one other competitor, but if we're the sole one, if something goes wrong or they go out of, you know, business or whatever, then we're kind of standing on an island. So we went with the consultant's recommendation to use this, they call it cubic trafficware software. And they'll be giving us training, and they'll be giving us, they'll be hosting it. They'll be they'll be giving us training, and it also includes the equipment, which is a cellular modem, the Ethernet switches, cables, integration, the cloud computing services, and as I mentioned before, the training and support. And so we're excited to move this along. We've had good rapport with this company, AKRF. They've been very responsive, and we're looking forward to the next step.
Do you expect this to make your life easier, or are you gonna be, yeah?
I think it's gonna be a combination. It's gonna be a little learning curve, but the same token.
You can do more though, and you'll be asked to do
more efficient, and when a signal is out, you should be getting a signal or communication saying that, oh, you know, this light's blinking or whatever. And if it happens, certainly before the public know, because right now, the current way is the public calls, or, you know, the police or DPW driving around and they notice it. And then we, you know, call and do whatever. This way, we might be able to fix it immediately if it's something short term or rather quick and easy. But if not, we'll be able to get a hold of it, and then we'll have our, we'll probably end up having an on-call maintenance for this, but also for the traffic signals as well, and that's what we're working on next. And so that's part of the whole plan that we have, yep.
But you'll be able to adjust timing as well?
Well, again, some of that stuff, if it's a timing malfunction, we might be able to, but the actual timing, it all depends. If it's a couple of seconds, we might be able to.
Right.
But a lot of times, if you wanna change something like, oh, I wanna give more green time to Mill Plain Road, for instance. Well, you can't just do that. You have to go through a whole design plan, a signal plan revision.
Right.
Send it up to the state. So that kind of design takes longer. But from a repair or maintenance standpoint, I'm gonna say maybe for 25 to 50% of the times, we'll be able to do a quicker response.
Fantastic.
Any questions?
All right, any comments from the public? Adam Cliver or Phil Tier.
I just wanted to also add that we had IT, 3 members from IT talk to the AKRF and talk about the cloud hosting services and all that. And Dave Kelly and his group was fantastic, asking some of the questions that Megan and I might not have been able to answer. And so they're gonna be working with AKRF as well, and so it's a true team effort. I just wanna highlight that.
And is it on, is this on your computer or multiple people?
Yeah, I think they can put it on a couple, because it's cloud-based, so it'll be on a couple, but we'll have a password so not anybody can go in and change it and stuff like that.
But it would be with engineering.
Right.
Yeah, not with DPW.
Right now, the goal is for engineering.
Right.
And then, depending on the license, maybe they allow you 5 users.
Okay.
Then maybe we would expand, but they would have to receive the training, they'd have to receive everything as well.
Right, okay. Adam, was there anything you wanted to add? Adam Tulin?
No, I would just add that at this moment, I'm just trying to determine if we can qualify this as being an extension of our professional services agreement with AKRF, or if we'll be completing a bid waiver, as like a sole source product. But that shouldn't impact this. It's just a matter of whether I need to report a bid waiver to the Board of Finance in the next quarter or not.
Okay. Any comments from the public? Seeing none, back to the board. All in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, thank you, Bill.
Sure.
Thank you, Adam. And then Bill, you're still engineering manager. This requires the Board of Finance and RTM approval. Whereas the town of Fairfield has been awarded a grant in the total amount of $1,073,778 by the state of Connecticut as part of the Department of Economic and Community Development, DECD. Whereas the grant requires funds from the town in the amount of $162,122 for the reconstruction of the lower wharf, including but not limited to stone retaining walls and replacement of public fishing pier. Now therefore be it resolved that the first selectman be and hereby is authorized to accept and grant and execute any and all required documents to effectuate said grant. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Seconded. Bill.
Okay, if you remember, this had gone to the boards before. We were under the assumption that we can try to apply for a SHIP grant, which was a significantly lesser amount, and the town boards approved that amount. It was originally the approval was $800,000 to spend. We were anticipating a $640,000 grant with a $160,000 town share. And now the numbers through our state delegation, which I have to give a thanks and a shout out for, getting this additional grant money, and then also thanking a lot of people that realize that we only had a couple of days to do this. Terry Brown and Jeff Stedman and myself had worked to 10 o'clock at night putting these applications together so that we could get this. And so now, as mentioned before, the $640,000 grant becomes $1.073 million, and our town share went up $2,122. So I think that was
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That was amazing work. Yeah.
So now the resolution it should be that we go for the higher amount of grant money to receive that, and the total authorization to spend increases from $800,000 to $1,235,900. So $1,235,900. So I think it's great, and everybody should be proud of the accomplishment. And as you know, if you went to they have a couple events there in Southport. Blessing of the Fleet is, especially if you got good weather, is highly attended, and that plus recreation and for fishing purposes, it's a popular fishing spot, and it was destroyed from that nor'easter I think it was about a year and a half ago. Now to be able to rebuild it and even a little larger than it was, I think that's great.
So am I remembering correctly, was it DEP that wanted a different configuration, like a T shape versus an L shape?
Well, we already had the permit approval for the L shape because we were figuring, again, we were limited on funding.
Right.
But when the state delegation realized that, hey, originally we had a T-shaped one that was much larger.
Right.
We went with the original.
Okay.
The only drawback to that, and it's a slight drawback, is we have to go back for permitting for that little extra section.
Right.
We were hoping we'd be able to piggyback on it, but DEP said, no, you gotta fill it out. But they also mentioned that it's gonna be very little, they've already approved the other section, so it should be a rather quick approval. But we have to go through the standard permit process.
Fantastic.
And we hired the race to the town share one.
Thank you. Any
This is great. I mean, speaking to the Harbor Commission, when we were doing appointees at the beginning of the year, this was on their wish list. We're concerned about funding, reached out to Rep. Leeper, and I know Senator Wong, just team effort from our state delegation, so I thank them for their efforts, and of course, Bill, thank you for you and everyone in town departments who really moved forward and got this. It's a great part of Southport. We were at the Blessing of the Fleet, and I know that the residents in that area are just thrilled that this is moving forward.
It's a good news story for the board.
It's a great news story. It's a great news story.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Thanks for creating the good news story. Any comments from the public? Seeing none, back to the board, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Fantastic. Item number 18, town attorney. Here consider an act on approving an agreement for legal services between the town of Fairfield and Hurwitz, Sagarin, Schlossberg, and Nuff LLC. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Seconded. Phil?
Phil Pierce, town attorney. So this is a retainer agreement with the law firm of Hurwitz, Sagarin, Schlossberg, and Nuff. It's related to issues down at the beach related to damage and university parties. Because my firm has potential conflict, we can't be involved, and the town needed to obtain separate outside counsel, which is the role they would serve. The rates are discounted municipal rates, substantially discounted from their normal private rates. Partners bill at $375, associate attorneys bill at $325. Very good rates for the quality of the firm. They're a good firm.
All right, thanks. Any questions or comments?
Hopefully we will not need them.
Yep, great. Any comments from the public? Seeing none, back to the board. All in favor say aye. Item is approved. Thank you, Phil. The interim CFO, and this requires the Board of Finance and RTM approval to here consider an act upon a reallocation of the American Rescue Act funds per Exhibit A attached in the backup. David Becker, would you like to tell us about this?
Yes, we also have on WebEx the fire chief Dennis McCarthy. So this is just one item under ARPA. It's listed at the top on the backup, and it was highlighted. We have other ARPA reallocation dollars in the allocated balance. We'll likely come back in October for adjustments, just for everyone's benefit to the boards. All of the balances were updated through 8/22. So it has sort of the, just for the other items. I typically, when we do a number of items, I walk through the whole schedule and where it's at. If everyone's okay, generally with the fact that it's asked, we'll go through that in October when we have more items and we can really in depth these projects. But we are steadily making progress, and we have left a large unallocated balance. So we're looking to make this adjustment. So this is for $562,059.64, which is total as per the quote, which was after the ARPA in the backup, minus $425,000 that we're receiving as the payment from FERMA, on the boat as a claim settlement, final number to come from them. And then we added $25,000 for those incidentals, and that there it's like any project, there may be some outfitting, some smaller items. We try to cover as much as possible in the quote, but when you go to do this, there may be dollars, and rather than first stop going to the existing budget lines and burdening the department potentially 2 years out when this arrives, at least put an amount in there. A concern that may come up would be, just ARPA encumbrances and whatnot. That the thought would be that our immediate encumbrance against the boat itself for the full ARPA amount, and the KERMA payment will go into the risk fund, and then we can draw out of the risk fund over a period of time, including the incidental portion. So we can certainly do it that way. So we'll spend against ARPA first. If you go to the backup documents, there's a quote. It has all of first, detailed specifications, and past that, there's also several pages which shows sort of the current design proposal with some artist rendering of the boat. So to walk everybody through the boat that that sank. So spending, I believe this season it's approximately $35,000 to put a temporary boat down at the marina. So it is expensive. Time is certainly, and part of the reason for coming to this and not even waiting a month is that time is of the essence to get a full functioning fireboat for the Fairfield Fire Department and the Marine and dive and rescue units out. Is that one, we're spending, this is now the second, next season will be the third, and that this won't arrive until 2026. Season of spending a considerable amount of money for a boat that isn't necessarily even exactly have. That fireboat that we originally had was something that was acquired by the fire department at I believe no or very little, just sort of initial outfitting costs. So we are in that regard, we're now having our first crack as a municipality at going and actually speccing from scratch the right boat for the Fairfield Fire Department and protecting the coastline. And the other thing to note in this is that the marine footprint and the marine, not just the fire department structure and that it can have a dive team of its own back then, but coastline's needs are considerably larger now than they were 10 years ago, approximately, when that boat had full not trailerable for the department. There are actually, in some cases, there's less other, fewer other marine assets, be it Coast Guard or other neighboring police departments. So while we in Fairfield do have a police department that's on the water and has a what I would call a complementary but different mission actually in a lot of regards. Even they find themselves oftentimes on the water with fewer assets either coming into Fairfield or oftentimes having to exit based on that. And so the other one is that there's significantly more boaters on the water and oftentimes less experienced boaters. I often find myself while I'm on the water, pointing out, oh, there goes the COVID boater. You can tell a lot of times, and that just increases the risk for everybody. We've had numerous incidents over the past few years, as recently as within the past roughly a month, including a drowning off of the reef. And the reality is this boat will be equipped to address those needs. We're also evaluating where within the marina the boat is placed. Currently, the boat is placed all the way at the boat launch. There isn't necessarily tomorrow space to put it at the mouth of the harbor, but we're looking at what the options would be to try to make that happen. Other items, just even to evaluate, the fire department's going to look at just the staffing. Well, as with anything, they're always trying to improve. And this puts them in the best possible position for the watercraft that they'll respond with. And I would speak to that as well, and the chief can certainly add if anything I miss here. But the fire department evaluate, so this is going to be purchased under a GSA contract, so it's evaluated that. So they allow them to go through sort of a matrix of picking multiple boats, multiple vendors, and the boats that they have, and they actually they also direction assistance to the chief in the case. They worked actually divided out into some smaller groups, and they had members on the ship evaluate this boat down the line, and then sort of immediately weeded out certain ones, and then focused on, and then narrowed themselves down to this, and then it went into what the right specs were, and a lot of discussions back and forth. And know that obviously, just like building a fire truck, it's been spec'd, it's been quoted. From here, there's going to be a lot of as they lead up to the build. So I do thank all members of the are involved in that. I'm sure a lot of them put a time frame to make that happen, and I'm sure addition that just from the administration, what I had certainly carried forward was get this right, have this boat for probably the next 20 years, and really smart about your dollars, but also make sure that you provide value and adequate response and capabilities for the safety of personnel and so this is what everyone's going forward and expect.
Chief McCarthy, would you like to add anything?
Yeah, good afternoon. Dave covered the history of the boat and the design process. Yeah, I just wanted to emphasize that the boat came to us. It's a 2000. The original fireboat came to us by way of Bridgeport, who acquired it by a grant in 2007, and us a few years later than that when they upgraded. And as David pointed out, the sinking, the unfortunate sinking of the fireboat in February of 2023 did give us an opportunity to revisit the needs of the Fairfield Fire Department and specifically design a platform that meets the mission sets that we're called to perform. In particular, as David pointed out, dive operations off of the previous boat were ones that we want to improve upon and provide a better platform for those types of operations. Also, the retrieval of folks that get stranded off their boats, off their kayaks, particularly in the shoulder seasons when the water is colder and there are fewer other recreational boats out in the water. We want to be able to have that capability to provide those rescues. So this is an opportunity for us to get it right, to design and build a vessel that will serve us for decades. And we appreciate the support from Mr. Becker, as well as recognizing the work that's done by the Department Master Mechanic, our Marine Officer, Assistant Chief Roger Case, and members of his committee that have done considerable amount of work over the past few months to get this to the point where we can present it for funding.
Thank you so much for your work on this. Do you have any questions?
So the previous boat is coming up was 20 years old when it was repaired.
Just shy of that, yes, correct.
2007.
And let me just, if I may, add that when we're looking at how to treat that that vessel that had been damaged, it was clear when we talked to the manufacturer that to bring it to current standards, it would essentially require cutting the stern off the boat, adding a couple of feet, raising the floor, moving the fire pump within the vessel, and still having a footprint that wasn't specifically designed for the mission sets that we respond to. So this is a good opportunity out of a tragedy to move this forward.
Whenever I hear about cutting apart boats and putting it back to something that goes in the water, I think that we should be looking at other options potentially. So I appreciate the work that was done. I am a boater, and I agree with Mr. Becker. Just over the last 20 years, in terms of people in the water with stand-up people that are on SUPs now, more children, younger boaters. We talked about the capital planning, that safety needs to be a priority, and I view this as protecting our coastline and want to make sure that our officers have the best equipment possible to keep themselves safe as well as our community. So thank you. I will be supporting this. And Chief, thank you to your team. You know, the tragedy for somebody losing their life off of our coastline. I haven't seen you, so I just wanted to thank you for your efforts on that day and to everybody who was in the water. So thank you for your service. And
we have a very committed team that you know, look to do the best work for the best possible outcome.
so I really think that we have the responsibility to make sure that we get the best equipment. We have money in ARPA for our police to that effort, so happy to support this for our fire department, and really as a fire department being a partner to our police department for emergencies on the water. Of course, we don't want those emergencies to happen, but we sadly have realized that they are becoming more frequent. We want to be prepared. Thank you.
Yeah, and I would just like to thank you and applaud you for your heroic efforts to try to salvage the old boat. I was staying apprised of some of the things that you were talking about, and I'm glad you ended up, you know, with going with the new one. It just all that moving holes around and cutting holes and stuff like that made me a little uneasy, you know. And so thank you I'm glad you ended up here. Anyway, thank you both. Any comments from the public? I don't know if we have anyone else out there. So Chelsea, anything to add? Prue, Prue, what do you think? Prue will go through.
We're getting a new boat. I think purchasing should go.
Thank you, purchasing. Back to the board. All in favor, say aye. Aye. This is approved. Thank you, David. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Thank you, David.
Yeah.
And thank you to those officers that did research and worked on this.
Sorry, I cut you off, but yes, I was just agreeing with you. Item number 20, refunds. Tax collector to consider and act upon tax refunds is recommended by the tax collector in the amount of $19,811.11. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Seconded. Any comment?
Nope.
Any public comment? Seeing none, back to the board. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Approved. Any announcements you'd like to make? Item number 21.
I made the announcement about the vigil in New Canaan. No, well, happy first day of school to all of our Fairfield Public School students. I don't know when our private schools are going back to school, but wish them a happy first day if it hasn't happened yet. And I'm wishing everybody a happy, safe, enriching year. And thank you to all of our educators for the work, the very, very important work they're doing each and every day. Happy Labor Day.
Have a safe Labor Day, safe and fun Labor Day. Motion to adjourn. Seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you.